Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Steam Forward podcast. As always, I'm your host, Savannah, and today we have a special podcast where it's just going to be me and you and I. And today, this podcast is all about motivation, inspiration. I feel like sometimes in life that we can get stuck with challenges, that we think adversity and obstacles are really holding us back. So today I'm going to share some inspirational stories. I'm going to share some feedback and my thoughts on them. So I hope you guys enjoy. So let's dive into the first story.
Steam Forward Podcast.
So the first one is titled, Struggles Develop Strength. It says, one day a man was passing by a garden when he saw a butterfly cocoon which was about to open. He saw a small opening on it and watched the several hours of struggles that the butterfly came through to get the body out of the cocoon. After many hours, it seemed that the butterfly stopped trying as there was no progress. He thought to help the butterfly by cutting the cocoon with scissors. So the butterfly came out easily, but the wings were shriveled up and the body was tiny and withered. Unfortunately, the butterfly was not able to take flight and spend the rest of its life crawling with a wounded body. So if you don't know anything about butterflies, when they become this cocoon, this chrysalis, you have to let them develop and get out on their own. And the moment that you cut that chrysalis, you're cutting off the cocoon supply that it's attached to that plant. And so what happens is the butterfly is now dying because it doesn't have all that it needs to be able to produce this beautiful butterfly. So in life, sometimes we feel like situations, challenges, obstacles have us wrapped up, bound up, and that it's a struggle to get out of them. But what I've realized on the other side of struggle, there's beauty. And that through this process, through the struggle, through that, life was giving you all that you needed to be able to become and produce this beautiful butterfly. So there is strength in the struggle. For the second story, it's titled, Let Go of Your Stresses. A psychology professor entered the classroom with half a glass of water in his hand. The students expected the common question, was it half empty or half full? But to the surprise, he asked them, how heavy is this glass of water? The answers given by the students ranged from 7 ounces to 25 ounces. But the professor replied that the actual weight of the glass of water doesn't always matter, but how long you hold the glass is what matters. If you hold the glass of water for a minute, you won't feel much weight. But if you hold for 10 minutes, you will feel a little more weight and it gets heavier for you with hours. If you hold it for the entire day, then your hand will go numb and pain. Similar is the case when you carry stress with you. If you think about it for a while and leave it, then there's no problem. But if you think about it for hours, it starts becoming a problem and becomes worse if you sleep with it. So the moral of this story, and I know we heard it time and time again, is that you have to let your stresses go. The more power, the more you hold on to the stress of life, it eats away and it breaks you down. I can't tell you how many students, how many adults I came across who are like, I feel exhausted. I feel tired. I feel restless. And the root of all of that is the stresses of the world, whether that it was a grade on a test, whether that they didn't get a job promotion, but things come and go and life doesn't always work out the way you plan. And it's important to acknowledge your feelings and to acknowledge that, man, I really wanted that. But we can't allow that adversity to affect us in the long run. So as this story says, that holding a glass of water all day creates numbness, it creates soreness, it creates this pain that didn't need to exist to begin with. So let your stresses go. And for the third story, I've heard this story a million times. I've heard it in sermon demonstrations. I've heard it in college courses. I've heard it so many times, but I think that this is a timeless tale that I constantly have to remind myself as well. And it's called Value Yourself. A speaker starts off his seminar by showing a $20 to the public. He asked the people, who wants this? Right? There was no surprise to see that all of them lifted their hands. He offered to give the money to one of them, but insisted that he would do something with it. He crumbled up the paper money and showed it again to the crowd and repeated the question. Still, everyone raised their hand. He then put the money on the ground and stepped on it, then raised it up again and offered it to the public. The people gathered there still showed interest in taking this stomped up, crumpled up $20 bill, despite how dirty it was. He told the public, no matter what he did to this money, you all still wanted this. You all went in favor of my offer just because the value of the money never decreased despite what all I had done to it. Value yourself despite the painful conditions or failures. I think that when we go through life, it's easy to say, I've been through so much, and we like to use the words baggage. We like to use the things, I'm used, I'm abused. We like to think that everything, all the negative conditions of our life have created a product of ourselves that we aren't happy with. But I think that if we can take a moment to look back and think about the things that weren't so pleasant and realize that if I didn't go through that, I wouldn't be who I am today. I think that sometimes that when we make the wrong choice or we make the wrong decision, that we think that that's the definition of who we are. And sometimes we don't go about life the right way, but remember, it's our first time living life. That through our choices, through our decisions, through all the negative things that may happen, that creates us who we are today. That you are loved, that you are valuable, that you are wonderful, and that just because I messed up this one time, it doesn't define me for the rest of my life. Even if you mess up 20 times, it doesn't define who you are for the rest of your life. That you are priceless, and that there's so much more in this world for you. So again, as I always say, feelings are valid, acknowledge them, and that it's okay to feel upset, it's okay to feel insecure, it's okay to feel less than. But the moment that we say, I choose not to live in this, is the moment that we take power back in our own life. So I don't know what life looks like for you today, but I've been through challenges, I've been through obstacles, I've been through ups, and I've been through downs. And some of them are my own making, and some of them are just life itself. I encourage you today, think back about your life. Let go of those stresses. Remember that in the struggle, that you become beautiful. Remember that your value never decreases no matter what you have gone through. That life is yours and yours to live. That you are the maker of your own happiness, of your own joy, of your own end product. So today I encourage you to take power back. Don't allow the obstacles, don't allow the challenges, don't allow adversity to take you out the game. You have so much more to offer. I hope this podcast gave you a little encouragement, a little motivation for your week, for your weekend. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I will see you next week.
And as always, a special thanks to our sponsors, the Children's Trust and Trinity Church. And don't forget that there are 3 ways in which you can listen or watch this podcast. If you'd like to listen, follow us on Apple or Spotify. If you'd like to watch, follow us on YouTube. Make sure that you subscribe, like, and click that bell for post notifications.